Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My message this morning is titled Health and Wholeness. And I know it's kind of ironic for me to be talking about health and wholeness when I've had this health challenge. But, I always say, God prompts you to do these things. And then, if you think you can handle it, sometimes you just get smacked up in the face saying, hey, you're going to have to think about what you're talking about here in order to make sense. Because it doesn't really, some people would say, oh, how can you be talking about health and wholeness when you're not even 100% or whatever. But it's not about that at all. It's about actually taking the concepts and the ideas that God is health and wholeness, and that we too are that expression of health and wholeness. Now what happens along the way is the human condition. So we're going to start there with the human condition, because the human condition encompasses the conditions we are facing every day as a physical being. It does not consider the fact that we are spiritual beings. So we can claim health and wholeness for ourselves, no matter what is going on in the physical or the human condition. And that human condition is about these health challenges that pop up for us, things that we feel like we can't control. And they're out there, if you stop and think about it. There's viruses, diseases, disorders, all these things, like you said, tripping on a rug, any of these kind of things that can happen, that's the human condition. And they are around us 24/7. And are we going to focus on all that, or are we going to focus on the idea that we're a spiritual being claiming health and wholeness? I choose the latter. I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter what happens in the human condition. We can say that we are health and wholeness. And I'll tell you what, if anytime you're sick, try it. Just keep claiming health and wholeness with every cough, with every pain, with everything that happens, and see what happens. And that's what part of this message is about today. Yes, one of the things of this human condition might try to latch onto us. And we can take preventative measures by being centered in our Christ self, surrounding ourselves with God's protective light, and by not getting distracted by those human conditions. Because I'll tell you what, we can sit here every single day of our lives and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to go outside because everybody's got that cough and I might just catch it. Or we could say, oh, I'm not going to the grocery store because, there's probably 10 people in there with something going on that I could get. Or, you have a pain in your body and you automatically start Googling and find out, oh, it could be this disease or that disease, or maybe I'm, whatever. And you know what? Some of those things could be showing up, but it has nothing to do with you as a spiritual being. It has nothing to do with God, because God is only good. So what happened to me is I got distracted by the human condition, and this is so easy for us to do. We went to the school and you guys did too, for the awards ceremony, and we had to stay for 2 hours because they separated second grade and third grade into two different groups, and so B was in there with Elizabeth, which was the second graders. We were fine. We were sitting there, no problems. And then when the second grade parents all left and the second graders all left, before the third graders got in, Warren and I moved into the front of this table, right? So like here's the aisle for the kids. Kids were all out there facing that way. And we could grab these chairs and sat here. And I said, oh, we got the perfect view for taking photos and everything. Because we were kind of off to the side before. Anyway, it was so funny because I'm sitting there. And all these other parents come in, kids are coming in, it's just crazy, And all of a sudden, this guy behind me, directly behind me, starts coughing, 90-0. And I could feel it hitting my back. And instantly I went, what the heck? This guy is hacking all over me. I don't want this stuff. And I started thinking in my mind, I started going, I haven't kissed Warren on the lips since Christmas, trying to avoid getting that cough. And this guy's coughing. I allowed the human condition to take over, didn't I? Instead of saying, I've got my light around me, God's love and light is protecting me, none of that's bothering me. No, I didn't go there. I went straight to the human condition. And guess what happened? Yeah, I I got the cough, got the crud. So, that's why I wasn't here last week. But we allow ourselves to jump into that so quickly. And I've been doing my plan since January 1st. So I should have been prayed up and not gone to that place. But it was so crazy how we catch ourselves just instant. And then I thought, and I told Maria this the next day, I said, I felt bad because here I was, getting mad at this guy behind me that I didn't even know who. I never turned around to fully look at him, but I was getting mad at this guy behind me for coughing all over me. And I thought, God, what kind of energy was I sending him? That isn't very Christian, and that isn't very much from the idea that we are spiritual beings. So I kind of had to send some, healing prayers to him and just say, whatever. But, sometimes we fail to keep ourselves protected. And all we have to do is stay in that prayerful mindset and know that we are protected no matter where we go, no matter what we do. And when we do have a doctor's appointment for some condition, human condition, we have to keep our minds focused on the idea that the highest good is coming forth, and whatever this condition is going to get resolved quickly with ease and grace. And really and truly, everything is just a symptom anyway. Doctors are treating symptoms. They're not curing you. Your body cures you. And if you realize that, then it's easier to see what the healing and the spiritual beingness of us can do for us, right?
Yes.
Well, I have this, I brought Dolores back, Dolores Cannon. You guys are reading some of her books, but this is a little snippet from her. She might sound a little harsh for you, but I hope not. Anyway.
You make yourself sick. You give yourself the disease or the illness. If your mind is that powerful enough to make you sick, it's also powerful enough to cure you. Every ache, pain, symptom of the body is the subconscious trying to give you a message. Somebody comes in with back problems. It's always the same thing. I always ask them, do you feel like you're carrying a load? They got a job they don't like, they got a marriage they don't like, they feel like they are carrying the world on their back. Arthritis in your hands. What is it you don't want to let go of? See how literal this is? The doctors are only putting a band-aid on the symptoms. They're not going to the cause of a person's problem. There is something bigger than all of us that we're communicating with. They said this is a therapy of the future, that we're not going to need doctor's surgery or anything. We're going to be able to help ourselves with our own mind.
Now, it is kind of harsh because she said that we make ourselves sick. And she said, every pain or sickness is trying to give us a message. And I truly believe this is true because we allow the human condition to come forth and control our lives or control our thinking. And really, the human condition can end up being negative most of the time. We can allow it to be positive if we want by saying, my throat's a little scratchy, so I'm going to take a little spoonful of honey. That's a positive. I'm not going to focus on the fact that my throat is scratchy. I'm going to focus on the fact that, that's just the solution to that issue, whatever. But if you want to go a little deeper with this, I don't know how many of you have ever looked at Louise Hayes' book, You Can Heal Your Life. But she goes in, that whole book is about this same concept of the diseases or disorders or whatever we have going on in our bodies. We can find the solutions. And I love it that you can even look up certain things. Like you can look up a cold, or you can look up a cough, or you can look up indigestion, or you can look up constipation. Any of these things. You can look up and she'll tell you what you're blocking, and then she gives you an affirmation. And it's really a great tool for us as spiritual beings to get more in tune with our bodies. Because, a lot of this is caused from the fact that we don't know our bodies well enough. We don't know what those little pings are, those pains. And if you're a person that has been having pain and pings and aches and ailments, and the doctors aren't finding out what it is, it's up to us to go deeper within ourselves and say, God, come on, tell me what this is about. Tell me what is happening. Because sometimes it's really not the human condition, the physical pain. It's something within us that is causing a reaction in that spot. And Louise Hayes did a lot of research on how different body parts are connected to different concepts or ideas. Fillmore did a lot of that too. And it's so huge if you take and explore that, because it's like an instant solution sometimes for yourself. And satisfaction. It's like a mind satisfaction, because, you know, when you don't feel good, what do you want to do? You want to grab for the perfect pill. You want it resolved. You want somebody to fix it. You're jumping all around into the human condition instead of going within and saying, okay, there's something going on, and I've got to figure out what's causing this. What is it inside of me that needs to be expressed? And I'm telling you what, it could have been buried for 30 years. It could be something from when you were 2 years old. You never know. Because sometimes it just sits there and kind of ferments. And it needs to purge from you. And when you can purge it, woo, you will feel like you got a brand new body. I'm telling you. And the thing about this is, too, that everything that happens in your body, everything that happens in your life, actually, shows up in your body, and it's muscle memory. They've proven it. It's muscle memory. So if you have things that have happened to you, even in the human condition, you've still got that muscle memory wrapped around it. I mean, perfect example. Anybody in here ever break anything? Yeah. Okay. Like, the minute you hear somebody that has broken something, or they say, oh, my mom fell and broke her hip, instantly you think about that time you broke something. And you go, oh yeah, I remember when I broke something, and the pain, and then you start feeling it all. I mean, our minds can quickly go and find that pain, or find that story, or find that thing that was in the human condition. But not so quickly do we go, oh man, that was the best healing day of my life. You know, that day I got that cast off, man, that was the best day ever. No, we don't go there. We go back to the human condition. You know, we could call it something else, but I don't like to say that word. But I was going to say CRAP. Anyway, but we know that thoughts held in mind produce after the kind. So we know that if whatever it is that we're holding on to is going to show up, right? It's going to manifest. That's just the way it is. Good or bad, we get to decide. We have to look into each situation as a deeper exploration of our spiritual journey. Other factors might include the time of year, a place, a body part, are all signals for us to pay attention to as they guide us through anything holding us back from experiencing complete health. So I don't know about you, but there are a lot of people that are triggered by certain times of the year, okay? If something major happened in your life during a certain time of the year, that time of the year almost instantly will show up every year, year after year after year, and you will feel some kind of physical or emotional stress from that thing that happened. For a lot of people, like our kids that we adopted, Tabby and Jesse, birth siblings, it seemed like a lot of the times that they got taken from their birth families, which they needed to be taken from them, but was in the fall. So every fall, these two would start acting up. Well, I always thought it was because they had to go back to school and they were just traumatized from being in a new classroom, all this kind of stuff. But it took me a while to figure it out, and after we read their files, that I found out, oh, there's the trigger. They were snatched from what they knew as home in the fall, so it was October. And so that always triggered stuff for them that they hadn't even thought about because they were little kids. 3 and 5 years old was when we got them. So every year I was facing this and I was thinking, why? So, you know, of course, they went to therapy every week. We went to therapy every week. And when I finally discovered that is a trigger month for them, we worked on resolving that. And, you know, some of it was them realizing that was the best thing that ever happened to them, was to be taken out of this situation, even though it didn't feel like it. You know, little kids, I don't care what's going on, if they will want to be in that home no matter what. So it doesn't even, and if you think about that, we have that same buried instinct within us. So sometimes some of the things that trigger us, we don't want to let go of because we are trapped in that human condition. And we have to be able to process through this in order for us to enlighten ourselves spiritually and to just find that peace of mind that we need, you know? And the pain can be hidden in so many things around us. The pain could be hidden in a certain flower, or a certain smell. I know that sometimes you probably have smelled something and they go, wow, what does that remind me of? And it could be something fabulous, or it could be something traumatizing. But we have to ask ourselves, hey, as a spiritual being, is this a message or is it not a message? If it's not a message, then you might just want to know what that piece of joy was that reminds you of that smell. Because why not grasp onto the good stuff, you know what I'm saying? And allow the other stuff to go. But the buried pain we might not recognize, the pain we might not experience all the time, can be creating havoc in our bodies, our minds, and our spirit. This is why we have to process. This is why we have to look at the idea of health and wholeness as the spiritual beingness of us, and the human condition as something, as a way to process. You know, it's like writing down your life and then looking at it and saying, okay, how much of this do I need to really process? How much of this do I really need to let go of? How much of this is garbage, you know, that I don't need in my life anymore? And you might think you've released that and let go, but that one little smell, that one little thing could trigger it all back up again, and you go, wait, I thought I released it. Okay, well, I'll work on that a little bit more. You don't have to beat yourself up and think, oh, God, now I'm backtracking. No, you just say, oh, I'm just processing again so that I can be freer and I can have this spiritual experience deeper. And that's huge, isn't it? Don't we want that? But we have to ask ourselves, what is the pain? How is it affecting us? And what in our thinking is distorting the pain to making it think it's okay? Because we do that too. Did you know that it's actually harder to heal from emotional trauma than it is to heal from the physical trauma? So you could have had something physically happen to you, but it could have triggered some emotional trauma. And that trauma, you might not have ever been healed from. We heal from the physical, you know. We cut ourselves, yeah, we heal. But what is it that is attached to that might not have meant to be attached to it, but it's something that is still keeping us from being the best spiritual self we can be? And we need to make sure we ask ourselves questions on that. Because our minds are funny things, you know. They want to latch on to all the tragedy of that broken leg that we were talking about in the beginning. They don't want to latch on to the idea, oh, that day I got that cast off was the greatest day on earth, you know? We have to stay focused on the good stuff and bring forth more of the good. We can focus on the emotional trauma, which might be caused from the physical trauma, but until we get to the bottom line of what is happening, we can't resolve any of it. So we have to be willing to take it into prayer. You know, that's something you can write down in your plan. You can write down, okay, I no longer allow the human condition to control my physical body. See if that works for you, because I'll tell you what, it's amazing how we can just, you know, slide through it and get it out of our systems. You know, and sometimes we have to revisit and revisit. I already said that about muscle memory. And muscle memory is huge, because if you have broken anything or fallen before or pulled something or strained something, that muscle memory is even tighter in there. And a lot of times you just have to think about releasing it in order not to keep feeling it. Does that make sense? But no matter what it is, it could be a limp, it could be a bladder infection, it could have been a cut on your finger, it could be a back pain. Whatever that is a human condition that we don't have to stay attached to. We can release it and let it go and find out why it keeps coming back and bugging us, you know? We don't want that to bug us anymore. And, you know, look up in Louise Hay's book. All of it can surface from what our minds are holding on to. And if our mind is holding on to these things, then we are the only ones that can filter that out and synthesize it and let it go. And we have to do the work. We have to let it go. If we don't let it go, it's not going to serve us. It's not going to serve anybody. And you're going to have it keep gnawing at you and picking at you. And you don't want that, you know. It is up to us to cure it, to figure out what's at the bottom of it. And it all could be one little thing, believe it or not. and this is important, it's up to us to cure it. Like I said, the doctors treat symptoms, but it doesn't always solve the problem, does it? And I know, like Katz was a nurse. I mean, she probably saw it hundreds of times. They treat somebody for this, and then that didn't work, so they treat somebody for something else, and that didn't work. And you just work your way through the chain to find things. But if something in our minds are holding on to something that we don't want in our bodies, then no matter what somebody gives you or somebody does, it's not gonna change, because our minds control it. And until we change our mindset to say, hey, mind, you're not controlling me. God is in the midst of me. I am a spiritual being. God's bringing forth good. What you're trying to put in my mind is not the truth of my beingness. And we erase that whole concept. Then we get to reap the benefits. Then we get to have a better life. Then we get to say, gosh, this is a good day. I feel good today. I'm going to make it through the day. I'm going to continue to make it through the day, because I know I'm a spiritual being. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
That's what I felt like. All right, God is the still small voice. This is from Jesus Christ Heals, in the book of Jesus Christ Heals from Fillmore. God is the still small voice in every soul that heals and blesses and uplifts, and it is only through the soul that God is made manifest as perfect wholeness. And this is happening all the time. It's not part-time. It's all the time. All the time God is manifesting through us, and we get to bring it forth or not. And we get to say, hey, God, my still small voice, speak to me. Let my soul be free. Yes. We get to enjoy it however we want to see it, but it shows up spirit, mind, body, and we can bring it forth. However, when we lay hold of the principle of wholeness, we find that we are automatically working with God and that much new power is added. So once we affirm that for ourselves, we start feeling more energy. We start feeling the idea that we are health and wholeness, that God is in the midst of everything that we're doing, and we don't have to claim the human condition. Going within to a deeper understanding of knowing where the pain originates opens a path for us to activate this mighty power. So when you resolve a ping or pain, I like to call it a ping, that we get these pings on us. When we resolve what that is, when we say, okay, why does that keep happening? Or why am I feeling that? And then you get a message like, well, remember when you were saying that stuff about the guy behind you? Yeah, I mean, and then you go, oh, yeah, well, I brought this energy on myself, didn't I? But, you push through the pain, and then you say, okay, I guess I need to send more prayers to him. I need to send more prayers to myself. And sometimes we don't forgive ourselves so easily, but we have to forgive ourselves for going to the place that we didn't want to go. And then we start opening up this space. And pushing through the pain is the hardest thing to do. I know a lot of people, and I've done it too before, when you have something that hurts or true human condition pain, you want something to take away the pain. You want it fixed. And you can fix it all day long, but if you've got an underlying block, it's going to be a continuous thing. It's going to continue to want to be fixed. Instead of saying, okay, what is it within me that is experiencing this? And when I started feeling bad on Thursday before last, it was weird because I instantly knew it was because I had said stuff about the guy behind me. And I wanted to take, NyQuil or, Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever. And I said, no, I've got to push through this because, I'm working this plan and I really want the pain to stop. Well, I got the worst headache. I mean, I had this headache all night long, and I was like, okay, I know this headache is here because I'm clearing my mind of this negative energy that needs to be released in order for me to feel better. And the next morning I woke up and I told Warren, I said, I had a headache all night long. And I said, but it's gone. And I know I had to push through that pain and tell myself I was no longer going to allow that pain in my mind, because this is where it was happening, to control me. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to allow ourselves to feel it in order to release it. Does that make sense? And I know we've all done that at one time or another. We've all done it. I mean, whether you recognize it or not, we've all done it. And the thing about it is, when our energy is no longer consumed by the pain, then we can heal, right? I mean, doctors will tell you that much too. Because if somebody's in the hospital, somebody in a severe car accident or so, and they're in pain, trying to heal, what do? They give them pain pills, or they knock them out and put them in a coma, whatever they need to do to allow the body to heal. But see, the body's will be doing what it needs to do, and it allows our minds to relax so that the body can actually do. It makes you not focus, your mind not focus in on the pain. So if the hospital can do that for us, we can do it for us too, because we're in control of our minds, right? Right, and we have to be able to process and move forward. I mean, this might feel like it's way up over your head, but I don't think so. I think it's all something we need to think about. However, if we truly want health, we must move through the pain to discover why the pain is there. And that's the whole solution to the idea of health and wholeness. From the Revealing Word, Fillmore defines health as a normal condition of man, a condition true to the truth of his being. Health is from within and does not need to be manufactured from without. When we claim health and wholeness, we are claiming truth for ourselves. Everybody here want to claim health and wholeness? Let's say health and wholeness. Let's say it together. Health and wholeness. Yes, because that is the truth of our being. All the rest is just what's happening out here in the world. And we don't need it. We don't need it. Health is our birthright. Health is what God has given us. And when we claim health, we automatically have wholeness because we're recognizing the power of God within us. And that reassures us that we are on the right path to move beyond whatever the human condition is. And it reassures us in so many ways. It becomes an opening of healing light and love. I thought it was great that your meditation was on light. And when I've got this in here, an opening of healing light and love pouring forth to create a new sense of self. Feel that. Know that. When we let light flood us with its sunshine, all clouds vanish and we begin to see ourselves in new ways of doing, which leads us to wholeness and health and satisfaction and growth. Isn't that beautiful? It moves us beyond where we're at today, and it actually activates the Holy Spirit within us. We can truly say that we are holy in that moment. When we feel the light and love of God moving in us, we can say that we are holy. Are you holy?
Yes.
Yes, I think you all are holy. And it's when you say that, it's not being arrogant. It's not, claiming something that nobody else has. When you say you are holy, you're saying you are holy, you are holy, you are holy. Because we are a collective consciousness, so we're raising each other up. When we are holy, we have activated a state of consciousness that is so aware of God's power within us that we are manifesting perfect health. And Myrtle Fillmore says this to us. This powerful conviction of oneness with divine wholeness will become abiding. Nothing can take it from us. Nothing. God is love, and God's love has cast out of the mind and heart all fear. There is no room for doubts and fears because God is love and health reigns supreme in us. We don't have anything to fear, nothing to doubt. If we're feeling the pain, move through the pain and claim health and wholeness for yourself. When we push through the pain, it might get so intense that we might want to stop or run for something outside of us. But if we pray and know God is pulling us through this, our guidance will be revealed to us from within us. That's where sometimes we have to face the pain head on, and we have to say, the answer's right here. God's telling me the answer, and I know it will come forth for me. And the power that we receive from that is so freeing that it will, and we get to decide whether it will heal us or not. But my prayer for all of us is that we know we have the power within us to choose health and wholeness. Thank you for being here today. God bless you. We're all healthy and whole, right?
Nancy.
Yes.
A year ago, I was dealing with a number of physical ailments that the doctors couldn't seem to figure out what's going on, couldn't seem to do anything about. And I finally, I had to drop out of the choir because I just couldn't carry on. But so finally I started to go see a functional medicine practitioner, functional being treating the causes of things rather than the symptoms. And I've been making progress ever since. So what you're saying about, the cause versus the symptoms is very important in my life.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I got a song for you. It's the group. I don't know what this means, but it said Advent Health Music. Isn't Advent Health an insurance company? I thought it was. I don't know. Maybe not. But anyway, here's the song. It's called